Good evening. Welcome to Live on Purpose, where we are here to take a look at the ancient texts that have been pulled together from various scrolls known commonly as the Bible, so that we can glean truth and wisdom in order to apply those to our life, to live a life on purpose. The foundation for this ministry here is to love God, love others as we love ourselves. So I hope that all of you are having a great week. So a quick shout out to all of you. And I just want to give a quick review on where we've been. We're reading Matthew 5, 6, and 7. We've been studying that. We're right now in Matthew chapter 6, where we're talking about storing up treasures in heaven. This is part of chapters 5, 6, and 7 are the commonly called the Sermon on the Mount, or the message that Jesus is giving his disciples on the side of a mountain in Galilee. And so we are here studying what Jesus is talking about in this segment of his message, where he says, don't store up treasures in heaven. So let me give a quick review, because we've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks. And if this is your first time joining in, this will be a great review for you as well, and kind of catch up to speed. Matthew 6, 19 through 21 says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So this is an outward expression of the fruit of our heart, is where we are placing our value, is our energy, our time, our attitude, our resources being devoted towards storing up treasures in heaven or storing up treasures here on earth. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You can look at it in more detail. Just go over to the Live on Purpose page, go through videos, and go back a couple weeks. You can pick that up. The next part of this, Jesus says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If the eyes are healthy, then the whole body is full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body is full of darkness. So where are you putting your attention? Okay. We often say the eyes are the window to the soul. And in the Message version of the Bible, it says, Matthew 6, 22, 23 that I just read. I'm going to read it to you again in this Message version. It says, where your eyes are windows into your body. And if you open your eyes wide in wonder and belief, your body fills up with light. If you live squinty-eyed in greed and distrust, your body is a musty cellar. If you pull the blinds on your windows, what a dark life you will have. So building on this analogy here about the eyes, and again on the scripture verses before about the attitude of our heart and where we're storing up our treasures, our heart will be where our action is. Jesus is reminding us that if our eyes are blinded, then the whole body can't see, right? The whole body's dark. And that darkness, in the same way, shows the attitude towards the treasures that we're storing. And if we engage in a way where we're storing up our treasures in heaven, then this will create a light that people will be able to see. It's the fruit, the whole body will go in that direction. So often I think a person can justify their attitude by saying, hey, I give at the church my 10%, so I'm going to go ahead and do whatever else I want to do with my 90% of my money. It really doesn't make a difference. And that's really not what is being said here. That is very hypocritical, if you will. It's just one area of my life, but Jesus is saying, no, it actually affects the wholeness of who you are. So tonight, we're going to finish out this segment of the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus wraps this up about where we're storing our treasures in heaven or on earth by saying this in Matthew 6:24. I'm reading from the New International Version. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. The King James Version literally translates the Greek here, God and mammon, M-A-M-M-O-N. That translates into materialism, wealth, money. Okay, these things are morally neutral. So it's not the fact that you have them, but it's the attitude that you have behind them. How are you using those things to store up your treasures in heaven? So I want to touch on something else here. It's easy to say, hey, I'm not rich. I'm not collecting nothing. Okay, I'm not even collecting a paycheck right now. So I'm not worried about this, where I'm storing up my treasures, because I ain't got no treasures to store up. But I would submit to you that the money, the material things here, that people can be just as greedy and covet or be jealous and envious of other people who have things. So look at the heart on both sides of that, wherever you are, or maybe somewhere in the middle, probably where most of us are. So this all has to deal with, where are we laying up our treasures and what is the attitude of the heart behind doing that? Jesus is warning his disciples, and this is a message to us, not to deviate from the focus on God, always, in everything, concerning ourselves and with the worldly things that we have. And so this is why I think it's important for us to understand what Jesus is doing here in teaching us about money and wealth. And the reason that he gives is a warning in, what are you trusting in? Are you trusting in the wealth, in the created earthly treasures? Because that's not eternal. And there's no hearse, that has a U-Haul on the back of it. And we've seen in Egypt all these mummies who have been wrapped and all of their possessions placed with them in hopes that they could take it with them when they go. And they're still there, right? And again, robbers are going to graves and so on and so forth. So you can't serve two masters. You can't be mastered by two masters because you'll begin to neglect one. Your focus will no longer be on God because it's on building wealth, having riches. You can't do both. I think people have tried it. And obviously there's a warning here from Jesus. It was happening then. Or there was the opening that it could happen. And so he's telling the disciples, how you act in this situation will expose your heart, your motivation. And you have to think, when you are walking out your life, are you pleasing God? Because if you're not in what you're doing, then you're a hypocrite in your walk, in living out a life on purpose, in your faith. Your hope can't be in your religion and then you just serve your secular interest. So, hey, I'm doing the religious thing and I get that on Sunday. I check that off my list and I'm doing everything else. It's very hypocritical, extremely hypocritical. look at your interests and then look at your motives behind it. I want to round out tonight's message about storing up treasures by jumping over to a book that was written in the New Testament by the Apostle Paul. And he wrote about this as well from a little different perspective from his personal experience. And this comes from the book of Philippians. It's chapter 3, and the verses are 7 through 9. I'll post those in the comments too once this video is recorded and up for you all. But whatever were gains to me, Paul says, I now consider a loss for the sake of Jesus. All of the gains that I had, that's nothing compared to what I have in Jesus. What is more, Paul says, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Jesus, my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them garbage, that I may gain Jesus and be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own that comes from the law, religion, but that which is through faith in Jesus. The righteousness that comes from God on the basis of this faith. Are you in a right relationship? Righteousness. Are you in a right relationship in all aspects of your life, including that of your finances and your resources and your material possessions, your wealth, your riches? What does that look like for you? Just take inventory and say, these are the things that I have, and how am I using that to store up treasures in heaven? Are there ways where I can be utilizing my home, my vehicle, my time, maybe other possessions that you have, in order to help further the kingdom of God? I have some friends of mine who have a beautiful home and a gorgeous, I mean, tropical looking backyard. And it has an amazing pool. And every few weeks, they open their home for anybody who wants to come and get dunked, that wants to be baptized, which is symbolic of their commitment of turning away from their life of the flesh in order to turn toward their faith in Jesus. And so this outward expression of an inward decision, they want to do, they can in the pool. And then they have a little barbecue, or they have some sort of a meal, and they sing, Christian worship music in the evening and do a quick Bible study. But it's something that they do every, few weeks. And so they've taken this as an opportunity to store up their treasures in heaven by using what they have here on earth to do that. That's just one example. But think about the ways that you might be able to utilize some of the things that you have. Maybe giving somebody a ride, showing God's love in practical ways by opening up your home or sharing a meal, or maybe it's a skill set, that you have used for earning potential. I do career coaching, and so part of my time is devoted toward giving away that service for free. I have a waiting list for it. I can't use all of my time to do that because I do need to make house payment. But I set aside a certain amount of my time each week in order to be devoted to helping somebody in that way and sharing the gospel message during that process to them, and praying with them and praying for them for the next job opportunity that they have. I don't know what this looks like for your life, But I would hope that you take some time and just reflect on the things that you have that God has graciously allowed you to have in your life, and how you can use that to store up treasures in heaven. Wherever you are, I hope that you are safe and healthy. If you need prayer for anything, we love to be able to pray for you. We have a prayer team. Go over to Live on Purpose page, tap on send message, and send us a prayer request or a praise report if you've asked for prayer, so that we can stay connected with you and share in your journey. Love God, love others, love yourself. Good night.